Well, good afternoon. Great, Mike. Great. It's great to be here. We have, of course, the leaders of our legislature, Speaker Sprowls and Senator Simpson. I want to thank them. We were in Gainesville earlier this morning. The University of Florida was rated number 5 in public universities nationwide by U.S. News and World Report. So we celebrated that. We're excited for that. We're also excited about the announcement today. I see some representatives here. I see Jackie. I see Representative Cheney here. I don't know if the others are here. Do we have any others? Oh, yeah, okay. So we have McClure and Beltran. Wonderful. Thank you guys for coming. And then, of course, I did mention Secretary Thibeault. So earlier this year, the legislature provided and I signed $2 billion worth of investments for highways and seaports. And soon after I signed the budget, I asked Secretary Thibeault and his team at FDOT to not only address highway projects that had previously been deferred, but identify high-value projects that we needed to advance and that would really make a difference. And I wanted the team to take the opportunity to make really significant transformative investments in our community, and I think that they have done that. So we're here today to announce 3 major projects from these funds for the Tampa Bay Area. First, we're making major enhancements and adding capacity to the Howard Franklin Bridge that will, of course, modernize the essential connection between Pinellas and Hillsborough counties and further support the regional economy. Additionally, we're modernizing Tampa's West Shore Interchange, the region's top transportation priority. This is a priority for the Speaker, and it's obviously something that's very important for the region. West Shore is where regional economic, employment, and entertainment activities converge, but I think as most people in this area know, you can run into a bottleneck, and run into a bottleneck really almost at any time. And so the modernization of West Shore will provide even more reliable travel for over 4,000 businesses, almost 100,000 employees, and of course all the visitors who come through Tampa International to visit the area. The early phases of this project represent over $560 million in direct investment in the local economy, and with future phases coming online soon, this investment will exceed $1.2 billion. Third, in addition to the West Shore project, FDOT will be advancing the downtown Tampa Interchange between I-275 and I-4, a project that will provide an investment over $150 million into the local economy. Currently, drivers that use the downtown Tampa Interchange experience significant backups, and that's really true no matter what time of the day it is. So this interchange is a key choke point that has been identified as one of the most congested interchanges for freight movement in the country, and it's about time we do something about it. So these projects are all part of an interrelated set of projects to modernize Tampa's interstate system. It's very important that we coordinate these projects, and when viewed collectively, all of these projects represent really historic investments in the region's transportation network. This is an important thing. No matter where I am, people always talk about, if I'm ever out of state, people will say, I want to move to Florida. I will have someone come up to me no matter what. This region is exploding. I was with Wilton the other day up in Pasco and then drove down to Tampa. And I'm like, there's like everywhere you look, there's like a new community being built. You know, that's great, but that also requires us to have the type of infrastructure in place that's going to be able to support that. And so we're doing that here in the Tampa area, and I think that this will be something that'll be very, very good for not only folks who live and work in this community, but people who come and visit this community for all the great things it has to offer. So Kevin Thibeault will come up and say a little bit more about that, then we'll hear from our legislative leaders.
Thank you, Governor. Again, thank you for your steadfast commitment to provide a safe and efficient transportation system for all of Florida. The project advancements we are announcing here today are so important for this region. Both projects have the full support of our local partners and directly address concerns we at the department have heard for a number of years. As the governor said, it's time to improve the region's transportation system, so that's how we're going to get there. The fully reconstructed interchange at West Shore will help provide congestion relief for drivers through a modern 4-level interchange with both general purpose and managed lanes as well as ramps. The improvements will also add much needed capacity for the growing region and improve connections to the Courtney Campbell Causeway, the Veterans Expressway, Tampa International Airport, and traffic from this Howard Franklin Bridge. To prepare for that, we are actually going to go forward with some early works projects that maintain regional mobility and manage traffic during the heavy congestion. The department will advertise these early works projects as early as this fall. To accelerate the construction of Tampa's West Shore Interchange and to enhance the safety, the department could construct the interchange in multiple segments. Segmenting the interchange into multiple contracts of various sizes will allow more contractors to bid on the projects. So what we have done, working with the construction industry, is develop a series of diverse contracts that will attract a larger number of vendors to participate in, providing more job opportunities to the community, and still accomplishing the goal of improving mobility within the area. The contract for the first phase of work, estimated at over $400 million, will advertise in the fall of 2022. And we will ensure that this work is coordinated with this Howard Franklin Bridge project, which is anticipated to be completed later this year. And then finally, the downtown interchange, we're going to make some major improvements there. Each year, there are approximately 1,000 crashes that occur. With these improvements, we're focused on our goal of reducing serious industry and fatal crashes. This specific project will be advertised in the next few months, and which means it will be completed years sooner than previous planning. Thank you again, Governor, for your leadership.
Okay. We got Speaker of the House who knows his way between Pinellas and Hillsborough counties.
Thank you, Governor. I have to drive this roadway, this West Shore Interchange, nearly every day. We're glad that so many of you could join us on such a breezy and cool day here at the Howard Franklin Bridge. We've got members, of course, of both chambers that are here with us today. We got some workers and some DOT employees who are standing behind us, who are literally the backbone of moving Florida forward. We're proud of them and proud of the great work that they're doing to help this project and so many others across the state. You know, 130,000 Floridians and visitors go through the West Shore Interchange nearly every day. And 5 years ago, we were practically in crisis. We were in crisis. 44% over capacity 5 years ago. In high traffic areas, if so many of you have been stuck on the West Shore Interchange on the way between Pinellas and Hillsborough, know that you can be stuck in traffic for a long period of time. That's because as of 5 years ago, during those high traffic hours, we were 75% over what we could handle. But that is soon coming to an end. And it's coming to an end because of the work of our great governor, Ron DeSantis, who's prioritized this infrastructure in the Tampa Bay area, our legislative delegation, and so many community groups and leaders throughout the state who prioritize what's happening here at the West Shore Interchange. I'd like to personally thank Senate President Simpson, who's been just such a great partner. He and I, as we're coming into our first session together, one of the vision items that we had, and I know the governor shared here from Tampa Bay, was this West Shore Interchange, was this progress. Because we realize that whether you live in Pasco County, Pinellas County, Hillsborough, or within the surrounding counties here in Hillsborough County, this West Shore Interchange matters for you. It matters for your family as you go to work. It matters for the 21 million visitors that are coming in through airlines and the tens of thousands of businesses who will benefit from this West Shore Interchange. Today is a great day to be from Tampa Bay. This is probably the most significant transportation and infrastructure project that the state has undertaken in my lifetime. It will leave a lasting legacy for the Tampa Bay area and her continued growth. President Simpson, Governor DeSantis, Secretary Thibault, I'm so grateful on behalf of our House members who are here today and the millions of people in the Tampa Bay area for prioritizing this project. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank the governor also. You know, we had obviously the pandemic started last 1st of April. And during the pandemic, no one was on the roads. And me and the governor talked about the notion, well, why don't we build a lot more roads while there's nobody on them? And so I renamed the governor at that time the Jobs Governor. And that may sound familiar, but the truth was Governor DeSantis really pushed hard to make sure the DOT was working, and all of those essential workers had jobs during the pandemic. And this is part of the results of what you see here today. And during session, we go in and put $2 billion in the budget, which almost all of that went to build roads. So we're finally trying to get ahead of the curve. SB 100 provided additional funds for the arterial roads that are being talked about here today. The governor signed that bill last year, and we're very proud of the teamwork that you see happening here, from the secretary to the Speaker of the House and his team and the governor and the Senate. we really did a lot of work this year to try to prioritize Florida's infrastructure. And since we're talking about roads today, this is where we are. But it's really important for the Hillsborough, Tampa area. I live in Pasco County. I get to go to an occasional game here at the Trop, and we have to cross this bridge. So we're looking forward to this project being completed. And again, it's a few years out probably from completion, but we can now see the light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you, Governor and Speaker, for all your steadfast work.
Yeah, it's really important, and we've obviously worked hard, and both Senator Simpson and the Speaker, as well as the previous leadership, have worked on infrastructure really across the board. I mean, we've done a lot in water infrastructure with Everglades restoration, as well as other key aspects of preserving and protecting our water resources. We've also just established, I work closely with the Speaker, we now have a Resilient Florida Fund to help with infrastructure in areas that are very vulnerable to flooding and storms, which is just a fact of life here in our state. And then, of course, these roads and bridges, which are very, very significant. I think looking ahead next year, I mean, we have clearly are doing very well budget-wise. We're going to have, we still have a lot of the federal money left over. I anticipate us continuing the momentum with the infrastructure, particularly with our roads and bridges going forward. So thanks to the legislative leadership for recognizing the significance. Thanks to Kevin Tebow for really coming up with some really, really good targets that we could fund and really make a difference. And just hopefully anytime you can accelerate, just get it done as soon as possible. All right, with that, I could take a question or two.
The city of Tampa has a vaccine mandate. What do you say, and how can the state help them may lose their job because they don't want the vaccine? And also, business owners who maybe don't want to comply with President Biden's mandate. How can the state help those business owners?
Great question. Two different components to that. So in the state of Florida, you cannot, as a government agency, fire somebody based on this decision. We have police, we have fire, we have people that have been breaking their backs to support these communities throughout our state for months and months, all throughout this pandemic, and of course, long before that, people that have put in 10, 15, 20 years, and now they're just going to get cast aside by some onerous mandate. That is wrong. And so we let it be known today. We're going to be enforcing Florida law against that. But honestly, it shouldn't even come to that. You know, we had folks with us today who were fire. We had folks in other utilities. I mean, really key components. A lot of these firefighters and police officers have already recovered from COVID. And now they're being told they're forced to do this, even though scientifically they have very strong protection. And you just wonder why, what is motivating that? It certainly can't be science if you're not recognizing what virtually any study has shown. But people should not lose their jobs. They should not be cast aside and thrown overboard like this based on this decision. So we're going to stand with them. Now, when it comes to Biden's mandate, Biden's mandate, I think the one that's gotten the most attention, of course, is the mandate on private employees. I mean, basically, businesses have to enforce, get the vaccine or lose your job. They can do some onerous testing, but my sense is that would be way too expensive to continue with that. So the net result of Biden's policy is you're going to have good, hardworking people lose their jobs, and they're going to lose their jobs in very key industries. I mean, we've been talking about for how many months about hospitals and the staffing. You talk to any hospital executive and they will say that's their number 1, 2, and 3 concern, is being able to have a lot of staff, especially if you have expanded patients coming in for COVID or anything else. And yet, what this is going to end up doing, it's going to drive people out of a lot of key industries, including healthcare, at the worst possible time. A lot of these nurses have been working throughout COVID. Again, many of them have natural immunity, and then to force them out of their job, I just think is fundamentally wrong. We should not be allowing the federal government to attack people's livelihoods. And oh, by the way, this is something that virtually, if you go back just a month ago, virtually everybody in the administration acknowledged was not something they could do with a unilateral federal rule. And so nothing has changed about the statutes. Congress has not enacted anything different. And it's basically just unilateral action along the lines that we've seen in other areas that the courts have struck down, but really, really consequential, that puts in jeopardy the jobs of millions of people throughout this country, and obviously a lot of people throughout the state of Florida. So we are obviously going to be working to fight back against that. We're looking over some of our different options. The rule has not, at least unless it came out while I was coming over here, they haven't actually put out the rule yet, so we're going to have to see what that looks like. But it's just fundamentally wrong to be firing people based on this. And you know what it will also do? It's going to harm the vaccine effort, because the way you get people is to provide them the information and to empower them to make decisions. The minute people feel like you have government coming down on them like that, I think that their skepticism gets hardened, and I think it actually will end up backfiring in both the near, medium, and long terms. And so, not constitutional. We're obviously going to fight against it, but if it will be allowed to stand somehow, I think it'll have really negative consequences for a lot of people. And again, I've not seen anything in any of these rules or mandates that actually recognize people recovering from COVID and the protection that they have as a result of that. Israel did a study and they compared the protection from a previous infection versus the Pfizer protection. They found the Pfizer did provide protection, but the natural immunity was far stronger, and the Cleveland Clinic has looked at similar data and come to similar conclusions. And I think more and more people who are honest about it look at that and do it. But yet some of these people are going to now lose their jobs over this. That's not right. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think anyone that's driving this Tampa Bay I-4, and I mean, the traffic can go far beyond even the juncture into Polk and beyond that. And that's just a reflection of this is a part of the state, the I-4 corridor, that's growing very rapidly. Look, it's a good place to live. And so clearly any infrastructure money that we get down, to the extent that we have an ability to direct that, we are going to be looking very heavily at Central Florida, particularly the Tampa Bay area, but also the Orlando area. And we've tried to do that. When Kevin accelerated some of these projects, he accelerated some of the stuff on I-4 and in the Tampa Bay area. We also did one down in Miami. But if you look, I would say in the state of Florida, you have Miami that's very difficult for traffic. Part of that is the way it's laid out. You have a little bit better ability, I think, in Tampa Bay and in Orlando through some infrastructure projects to alleviate. There's also some places, I mean, like you look at 30A in the Panhandle, man, you could get caught in some serious traffic there because a lot of people want to go there. But I think if you look at where the growth is, clearly this is one of the main areas where you're going to see a lot of growth and where you're just going to need to add capacity so that people are able to get around. They're doing it. I think it's just there's a lot of components that go into it, but it's something that I've spoken with the secretary about. I've spoken with other folks about. They understand, that we want to move it out as quickly as possible. And all this stuff, there's certain things that kind of go into when you're doing it. And, our view is basically, want to make sure people are qualified. You want to kind of do it right. And that's what we've done with all these programs. But they're doing better. They got more ways to go. And I think we'll be able to continue to see the pace increase, hopefully very soon. Okay, thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks, guys.